So this video is going to be kind of an update, kind of a supplement to a video that I had made several years ago on a gang called Risky Road. And I'm going to talk about one of their particular members in this video that I had mentioned in that video, but I didn't give a lot of details about him, especially a lot of the details that his mother was giving about his medical history and some other details that I think are pretty important to kind of understand where this whole situation was coming from. So this is a member named Mackey. And if you guys, remember my old channel, I had talked about him briefly, but we're going to go into some more details in this video. So the Risky Road Gang, they're down by 104th in Maryland. They're Four Corner Hustlers. And they are I'd say they're a pretty well-known gang. They're not as famous as some of like the FBG and the old block gangs as far as the rap, but as far as, the streets and stuff, I'd say they're one of the more well-known gangs in Chicago. Any side of the city you go, north side, west side, you mentioned Risky Road, they've heard of them. So anyways, Mackey was a member from there, and he was pretty young. He was 16. Now, he made the news when he was in an incident in a video in which he had tried to rob an off-duty cop at gunpoint at a gas station. And it was it was a bad look as far as the media. And his mom was interviewed after that. And, a lot of times when the moms are interviewed, sometimes the moms are in complete denial, about what their sons were doing, what their sons were on. They're saying my son wasn't in a gang, and then they put him on TV and he's got like gang tattoos all over his face. And it just, it becomes a bad look for the mother too. This was not that bad. His mom was very realistic. She said she did not blame the cop for shooting her son, because her son was out there, doing dangerous stuff. And so she said that she's not one of those parents, and she wasn't. She was giving a lot of details about Mackey in the interview, and it was a lot different from a lot of stuff that you usually hear from some of the family members and friends. And I had touched on this in my video too, where I had posted Goonie Looney's video talking about, when some of these guys die. That's a whole nother topic for another video, but anyways. This dynamic was different, so I'm going to get to this, the details of this story. Her name was Tonya Stevens. She lost her 16-year-old son on a Monday night when he was shot and killed by that off-duty cop. She had said that she wanted her son to go the straight route, but he'd been in trouble with the law for years, so she doesn't blame the officer for shooting her child. So his name was Deontay Dwight Mackey. He died after he held an off-duty Cook County Sheriff's sergeant at gunpoint while the officer was pumping gas at a Citgo on the south side. So his mom said, Mackey's mom said to the correctional officer, "I don't have no hate in my heart for what he did. He was out doing a criminal act. I'm not one of those parents. I'm not. Everybody knows me. I'm not one of those parents. I promote fairness." Surveillance video showed Mackey holding the sergeant up at gunpoint and demanding his wallet during an attempted carjacking. So I'm just going to show a screenshot and not play the video. That always gets the video a strike, but she said, "I did the best I could for him. I wanted him to go the straight route. He was just determined to go and hang with this crowd." Started hanging with them, and then he died at 16. So she said that her son had been in trouble with the law since the age of 11 for everything from assault to cannabis possession and robbery. She also said that a 2010 battle with meningitis nearly killed the 16-year-old and changed his behavior completely. And this is the main point of the video, because for people who don't know what meningitis is, this is a bacterial infection in the brain. And when a person has this, when they have meningitis, like a bacterial infection, or when they have like a traumatic brain injury, it can totally change the way that they act after that. The brain is responsible for pretty much every cognitive function, and a lot of, things like hormonal imbalances and the release of certain chemicals. They can cause a person to, become unduly agitated, overly aggressive, things like that. Now, the person, I think, still has some degree of willpower control over that if they're interested in even combating it in the first place. But it can definitely make it more difficult to control one's own behavior. And I'm not a doctor, but I've seen this in case after case. A person will get a traumatic brain injury, or they'll get an infection like meningitis, and then their family says they're a different person. Like everybody around them says they've totally changed. So this is one detail that I didn't put in that other video, and that, I don't think got enough attention, because that apparently had really sent him off on a bad route, which he obviously had no control over. On the past Thursday before he died, he had finished a month-long house arrest for alleged robbery. 4 days later, he was carrying out that crime. So she said that her son had many mentors in his life, including a guy named Carlos Estes. Estes was getting Mackey into an alternative school after the teen was expelled, allowing him to have a lot of time on the streets. So he was out of school due to being expelled, and he was going to go to this alternative school. But in the interim, he was like out there with a bunch of free time. Now, I'm one of those people that says that, not having anything to do is not an excuse to go out and gangbang and kill, because there's plenty of other stuff that guys can do. But one thing that it does do is that, it puts guys under the influence of guys who are already doing that, and that the peer pressure, it exposes them to that, when they're not around positive influences. But anyways, so as for the two young men who were with her son and ran from the scene, the mom says if they don't want to follow the same path her son did, they need to turn their lives around and turn themselves in. This happened over in the 700 block of East 103rd. Okay, and the three males had come up to the sergeant. See, Mackey wasn't alone on this. Demanded his wallet. One of them pulled out a handgun and pointed the gun at the officer. As the sergeant handed over his wallet and other valuables, he reached for his gun and shot the gunman in his head. The other two men fled the scene. So they said that Mackey was from 104th, and he was pronounced dead at 10:08 p.m., according to the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. No other injuries were reported in the shooting, and police did recover a gun at the scene. So a spokesman for the sheriff's office said the sergeant appeared to be the intended victim of the crime and shot an offender while acting in self-defense. He did not provide more details, saying the investigation into the shooting is ongoing. So there was surveillance video, and it did show the gunman pointing the handgun at the sergeant. In the immediate interview right after the incident, his mom was in disbelief. She said it was so aggressive. She said, my son was struggling with some behavior issues, but nothing this extreme, not sticking people up. He said, are you serious? It's like, what did you want? I did the best I could with the little we had. He wasn't homeless. He wasn't hungry. He wasn't thrown out to fend for himself. So I just don't understand. So she's basically saying that she had provided her son materially with everything that he needed. And that's one thing for single moms, that this is another topic, but I mean that, you hear a lot, they believe, and I'm not saying that she believed this. I don't know Tanya Stevens personally, but a lot of single moms say that they're, they can do it by themselves if they're financially providing. But, what they can't do is model for the kid by example, a male's behavior. Saying like provide that male role model example. That's one thing they can't do, and that's one of the most important things. Parenting is way more than just financially providing for the kid. Putting food on the table. I mean, the government can do that. The government does that to guys in prison, 3 hots and a cot. And so moms provide 3 hots and a bed, and they say, well, I'm holding it down. Well, that's not all there is to it. So one of the other guys who was with Mackey that day was searching his car. And what I heard was that these guys were not Risky Road. It was like a different set of guys that he had started to hang with, so I don't know. But the sergeant handed over his wallet and other valuables. And so he reached for his own gun. Sitting in her Pullman home, the mom had recounted a history of behavioral issues with her son. He said that he could be mannerable and funny. Sometimes he would just dance to make his mom laugh. And she said that he also had some dark sides. So again, she said that he talked about that meningitis issue. She said he had spent a whole year in the hospital recovering and had lasting medical issues. She said, after the surgery, I saw a totally different side of him, aggressive behavior. He got into fights, was disrespectful at school, and ran with a rough crowd. So she's a single mother with 4 sons. And she said that she did everything that she could to change his behavior. She sought out male mentors and alternative education programs. So I don't think that his mom is one of those moms that's like, clueless about the need for male role models. I mean, she was actually trying to get that done. She checked in with his friend's parents and tried to get him involved with a local church. She said he was just determined to hang with the wrong crowd and be part of the negative influences around him, adding that too many young men in the neighborhood are too focused, and this is according to Mackey's mom, she said that too many young men in the neighborhood are too focused on rap, gangs, and turning up or partying. She said, I tried to stay on top of Deontay's behavior as much as I could. Everybody knew me as, quote, here come his mama. It's just sad that peer pressure is winning the streets. It's a lot of negative peer pressure going on. So Deontay had seen several friends get shot to death. According to his brother, Deontay was especially shaken by the death of, and this is it, Brendan Temple. And you guys know who that is, BT. He was 21. He was a close friend gunned down in September. So that's according to his brother, saying that BT's death had especially shaken him. So he said so many of these young guys around here, teenagers, didn't even make the 17 or 18. Too many of them lost their lives. It took a real toll on him. So he had played Little League. He had always loved baseball and basketball. And she said that he was really smart but lacked focus. He said, it's sad that my son chose that life. He had some dark sides, but he was a good kid too at the same time. I'm just in disbelief. So anyways, in the aftermath, there was a 17-year-old charged with first-degree murder. Okay, one of the accomplices. Mackey was 16 at the time, but the 17-year-old was charged with first-degree murder after the attempted armed robbery. Now, interestingly, the body was obviously not the cop. It was Mackey. This was Mackey's accomplice, okay? But this is a prime example of what I've been trying to tell these guys again and again. Somebody dies while you're committing a felony. The body's on you, whether you killed him or not. So Devontae, he was one of Mackey's accomplices. And a third youth was also there, but they had approached the cop, and Mackey was armed with a 9mm. He had told the cop to empty his pockets or he would shoot him. The sergeant handed him a pack of gum, and the third robber went into his car and began going through the glove compartment. When Mackey demanded the officer's wallet and car keys, the cop pulled his gun and shot Mackey in the head. Okay, Devontae and the other youth then ran off. So Devontae, I don't know where he's from, to be honest with you. I don't know if he's from a set or was gangbanging or not, or was just in the streets, period. But he was one of the robbers, thanks to video footage. So the cops used the video footage to book him. So in addition to murder, Devontae was also charged with armed robbery with a firearm. He had previously been charged as a juvenile with aggravated battery and criminal damage, receiving probation both times. So he was held in lieu of $1 million bail. And in Illinois, a person, and they're reiterating this, guys, in the media, who commits a felony can be charged with murder if somebody dies during the course of the crime. So after him, at that particular time, after they made the first arrest, they were still searching for the third. The third guy that they got, okay, and well, Mackey was dead. Devontae was 17. He got booked. Then there was another accomplice, and he was 15. And I don't think that he's named because of his age, okay, but he was also charged with first-degree murder and armed robbery. So they said he allegedly took part in the robbery. The whole thing ended up as a disaster for all of them. I mean, two of them got essentially smoked by the system. You know, murder charges, I mean, that's like you're done. And they have the whole thing on video. Mackey's no longer with us. So there's a lot of questions that are unanswered about stuff that happened, you know, in Mackey's life and stuff like that. But I just wanted to give you guys a few more details to maybe fill in the picture about what had happened. Because, you know, a lot of the times, like, the gangs will tell one side of the story and they don't necessarily have all the details. But anyways, man, very sad story. And just a reminder to all the kids, man, somebody dies, you go down for a body. So all the kids going out there doing these carjackings, robbing these stores, some dude just trips and falls and hits his head or breaks his neck, and you're going into prison for like the next 50 years. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it at all. So anyways, man, rest in peace to Mackey, rest in peace to BT, and whatever happened to those other two guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section, man. There's your boy. And shout out to, and condolences to Mackey's mom, and respect to her for being honest, you know, and giving the details about her son. He spent a whole year in the hospital because of that meningitis. Very sad. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Your boy, Chicago News. I'm out.